Everyone say happy birthday, Finn. He's 4 now. And he's naked. He doesn't have his collar on, so don't look. Don't look. If you don't know me, hello, hi, welcome, or welcome back to Mia Likes Movies. My name is Mia and I like movies. My dog is chewing on a bone, so if that's going to be an issue, I'm sorry, but let him live. Hello, hi, welcome, or welcome back to Mia Likes Movies. My name is Mia and I do like movies. I like a lot of other things too, but Mia Likes Movies just sounded the best. Usually on this channel, I like to do video essays where I analyze movies, video games, books, and things I just like in general. This month, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to focus on an actress that has been causing quite a stir in the media, an actress who grown quite fond of, and I think of as like a younger sister in a weird way, not like parasocially. Yes, I don't know what's worse, actually. This past week or so, Rachel Zegler has been part of an alleged smear campaign at the hands of the Hollywood elite, and she is in trouble for, let me check my notes here, for having morals. So I wanted to do a deep dive on all of Rachel's controversies over the years because I actually don't think she's done anything wrong. And while I really do disagree with putting celebrities on pedestals, it's something that I'm working on myself because most of them are out of touch and most of them don't really care about normal people like you or me that consume the media that they're a part of. In this instance though, Rachel Zegler has done very little wrong. Rachel, get behind me. I got your back, girl. I got you. And if it bothers you that this video is a bit biased because I like Rachel, you can leave. You can leave because you're not going to agree with anything I say here because you've already made up your mind. I'm not really here to change anyone's mind. I just want to present the patterns that I've seen in her controversies that I think are a little ridiculous for what they are, considering some of the people in Hollywood are literal PDF files. If you don't know who Rachel Zegler is, she is a 23-year-old actress from North Jersey, and she's been in a couple of movies. You might know her as Maria in West Side Story, Anthea in Shazam 2, Lucy Gray Baird in The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Princess Eliana in Spellbound, Laura in A24's Y2K, and most recently Snow White in Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. And that's it. That is literally Rachel's entire IMDb page. And I don't mean to say that's it as if to be like, that's it, that's all she's been in, but like literally she's only been in 6 movies. Like objectively, that's not a ton, but the movies she's been in are really big projects. She was also recently in Romeo and Juliet on Broadway with Kit Connor, and soon she will be in the West End revival of Evita, which will be directed by Jamie Lloyd. And although Jamie Lloyd and I do have beef, it is one-sided. I am really excited to see the bootleg of her as Evita because I love Evita. That is a very important musical to me for many reasons, and I'm really interested to see a younger actress play it because we don't see that often. Overall, Rachel Zegler's career is still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. She got cast in Spielberg's West Side Story remake at the age of 16 from an online open call, which is pretty unheard of as far as casting goes. She would end up winning a Golden Globe for this role, and would you believe it? This is where her list of controversies begins. This is the role that started it all in more ways than one. Firstly, right off the bat, people were upset with Rachel being cast. Regarding the casting for this film, Steven Spielberg said the following: "When we began this process a year ago, we announced that we would cast the roles of Maria, Anita, Bernardo, Chino, and the Sharks with Latina and Latino actors. I'm so happy that we've assembled a cast that reflects the astonishing depth of talent in America's multifaceted Hispanic community." Now, if it wasn't already obvious by literally everything about me, I am white, so I cannot speak for the Latina community regarding this specific controversy. Many criticize Zegler for not being Latina enough for the role, or even being too white for the role. And for the record, Rachel is half Colombian. Rachel Zegler recently revealed to Allure magazine during the Snow White press tour that during the casting process for West Side Story, the studio executives constantly asked Rachel about her ethnic background. In this interview with Allure, Rachel said, "There's confusion because I don't have a single ounce of Latin in my name. When I was in the running for Maria in West Side Story, they kept calling to ask if I was legit. I remember thinking, do you want me to bring my abuelita in? I will bring her into the studio if you want to meet her." The magazine magazine also said that Zegler noted that it was strange to have a, quote, bunch of white executives have you prove your identity to them, end quote. It is sort of ironic that this is where Rachel's controversies begin, because as we will see with the Snow White casting, people are very quick to judge her based on her ethnicity in a variety of ways. Rachel literally can't win. Again, I'm not Latina, so I'm not going to speak too much on the situation because I don't want to speak over people who this is their identity and so they have a valid opinion on it. It's just not my place, but I wanted to bring it up because from the beginning, Rachel Zegler has been getting criticized for things that are really just out of her control. She auditioned for a Latina role as a Latina woman and got the part. And it's not like she can't do the part. She did the part well. I mean, the girl can sing. And unfortunately, this is not where the West Side Story controversies end. No. God, no. Prior to the release of the film, existing allegations re-emerged about Ansel Elgort, is that how you say his name? Ansel Elgort, who played Tony in the film, accusing him of assaulting a 17-year-old girl in 2014 when he would have been about 19 or 20 years old. While this had nothing to do with Rachel, because she was his co-star and played his love interest, she was also pressured to answer for these allegations in a way to the public during the press tour. In a 2022 interview with Elle magazine, Rachel said, quote, "I reverted back to this brain space I was in back in June of 2020 when the accusation surfaced. We were in the middle of the first wave of lockdown and there was nothing to do but doom scroll. Those days were some of the worst mental health days I've ever had. I was sitting there just having turned 19 on the precipice of what was promised to be the biggest moment in my life and was being held accountable by the public for accusations that not only had nothing to do with me, but were made about a situation that was said to have occurred 5 years prior to when I had met and worked with this person, with no thought to the fact that I was also 17 when I met this person, 17 when I worked with them, 17 and 18 when I had to do love scenes." Zegler continues, "In the grand scheme of things with this woman who has come forward with these allegations, I cannot imagine what she had to go through. If I'm sitting here thinking that those days were traumatizing for me, I don't pretend to know. I could never know. I really don't have anything to do with this conversation, and I'm looking forward to moving past it." Which, in my opinion, are fair points all around. It is truly unfair that Rachel had to answer for the alleged heinous actions of her male co-star, who, we must remember, is really just a co-worker to her. Not to mention the whole power imbalance of the whole situation. She was just 16 when she was cast, 16, 17 when working on the movie, an overall newcomer to the industry, and working below one of Hollywood's biggest directors of all time. The blame isn't on her for platforming Elgort. He already had a platform. He was already relatively successful by the time West Side Story came out. Rachel was really just doing her job. This interview with Elle is a genuinely interesting one too, so I highly recommend actually just reading it yourself. All of my sources will be linked in a Google Doc below in the description if you're interested. The last big controversy that had to do with Rachel and West Side Story had to do with the 94th Academy Awards in 2022. West Side Story was nominated for Best Picture amongst other nominations. The film had 7 nominations in total, I believe. Rachel Zegler was not nominated for her performance in the film, which personally I'm still confused about, but whatever. Rachel was not invited to the Oscars, where she was the lead of a film nominated for Best Picture. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Someone said in the comments of one of her Instagram posts, quote, "Can't wait to see what you'll be wearing on Oscar night." And Rachel responded, "I'm not invited, so sweatpants and my boyfriend's flannel." This got the internet into a frenzy. So in a separate response, Rachel also commented, quote, "I don't know, y'all. I have tried it all, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I will root for West Side Story from my couch and be proud of the work we so tirelessly did 3 years ago. I hope some last minute miracle occurs and that I can celebrate our film in person, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes, I guess. Thanks for all the shock and outrage. I'm disappointed too, but that's okay. So proud of our movie," end quote. In an article by Deadline, they confirmed that though some of the blame is being cast towards the Academy, they learned the distribution of Oscar night tickets rests on the shoulders of the studios, which in this case is Disney, since Disney distributed West Side Story. An article by Variety explained, quote, "Each nominated individual receives a +1 to the ceremony for each category in which they are nominated. It would be up to the team at 20th Century Studios, which is owned by Disney, which also owns ABC, the broadcaster for the Oscars, to coordinate Zegler's attendance through any of its nominees, spread across 7 categories," end quote. Additionally, this is 2022 when we were still kind of caring about COVID, so there were fewer tickets available overall. Still not an excuse though. And also apparently at this time, Rachel was actually in London shooting Snow White, which we know also was being distributed and produced by Disney. So I guess Disney just really has it out for this girl. Rachel would end up making it to the Oscars and even joked about it while presenting an award with Jacob Elordi.
I never thought that I would stand on this stage.
And I never thought that I would be here 6 days ago.
In this instance, once again, my opinion is that Rachel really didn't do anything wrong. She responded to a comment with the truth, which people would have found out anyway when she didn't show up. It was the internet that got upset. I mean, Rachel was upset, obviously, but I think she had a right to be upset. But she expressed gratitude for being a part of the movie in her comments. She handled it with grace, in my opinion, and humility, and even some humor, laughing it off kind of with the whole, I'll be sitting there with my boyfriend and his flannel. I don't really know if there was a better response. And I keep saying this, but I'm going to say it again. How is the lead of one of the biggest films of the year not invited to the Oscars? Even if she wasn't nominated, the film was, and she had just recently won the Golden Globe for her portrayal. It's not like there wasn't prestige about her specific performance either, that they were trying to snub her in that way. And sure, there's a difference between a Golden Globe and an Oscar, but still, I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's not like she doesn't deserve to be there. That's really it for the West Side Story controversies, and the next ones stem from Rachel's involvement in Shazam 2. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in 2023, Rachel was asked, "What made you step into this world of DC heroes?" And Rachel famously responded with,
"I needed a job. I'm being so serious."
The internet went sort of crazy with this clip, and there were sort of two camps with people's reactions. One camp was, oh, this is so relatable and funny and good for her. The other camp was, how ungrateful is this bitch? I personally thought it was funny because I too needed a job. And also, why else would you take a role in Shazam 2 beyond the paycheck? Like, be so for real right now. If you watch the rest of this interview, it's actually quite respectful.
I'm so lucky that I got this job. I made some of my best friends on this job, and I just absolutely adore this movie too, so I'm excited.
And Rachel notes that she wasn't actually booking a lot during the pandemic. She wasn't being ungrateful. In fact, she expressed a lot of gratitude for the opportunity and the people working on this film. People still bring this interview up today for their reason for not liking her, and I just think it's silly. You all want your celebrities to be relatable until they actually are. And the other thing with Shazam 2, besides it being just a shitty movie, is the fact that Zachary Levi is in it. And Zachary Levi is...
I'm voting for Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and JD Vance and everyone else that they're going to bring in this team, this Avengers, this Voltron, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to get in there and actually do what Donald Trump said he was going to do the first time, which is drain the swamp.
Well, Rachel is so far 0 for 2 as far as co-stars go in her first 2 films. I'm sure it will only get better from here. What was that? Oh no. But really, Zachary Levi kind of went off the deep end as far as I know after the film came out. So Rachel didn't really have to answer for him in the same way she did with Ansel because the press tour was sort of already over. If you hadn't caught on by now, I'm not doing this by chronological order exactly. I've been just doing it by project. And this part isn't so much of a controversy, I guess. I mean, you could call it one, but I don't know. It's more so a concern, maybe. And also, I'm filing this one under The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, although it could technically fall under West Side Story, but I'm putting it under The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because I wanted to put something under The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And honestly, that press tour wasn't super controversial for Rachel. She killed it. And who doesn't like the Hunger Games? Rachel Zegler has been publicly linked to her former co-star, Josh Andres Rivera. The two met during filming West Side Story, but they were also both in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The controversial, concerning part is that Rachel was 16 or 17 when they were filming, and Josh was 24 or 25, which is not good. I don't believe they publicly announced their relationship until 2021 when Rachel was 18, but they met when she was 16 or 17, a minor. And being 25, soon to be 26, why do you want to hang out with young people like that? It's weird. I don't think the two of them are still together anymore, but Rachel did repost some promotional material for American Sports Story Aaron Hernandez, which Josh did star in. I can't find any official news source that says they split up though. The only thing I could find was an article by J14, so take this as you will. But they say that Rachel edited some of her Instagram posts in November 2024 to exclude Josh, backlash, but I feel like that doesn't mean anything, especially when the internet catches on to the fact that your boyfriend is allegedly low-key a predator. Like, maybe you just edit it out because you don't want people, because she wants, I don't know. I guess I just don't know. Now we will move on to Snow White. So similarly to Rachel being cast in West Side Story, when Rachel was cast in Snow White and they made the announcement, there was a lot of backlash because Rachel is not white. People were mad because the character Snow White is said to have skin as white as snow, and they said, well, then why did you cast someone who is not white? Personally, I just think it's so stupid for a couple of reasons. One, if you don't want to watch the remake, that's fine. If you're upset about it, that's fine. Just go watch the original. No one is stopping you from watching the original Snow White. She's not real. She's not a real person, and even if she was, who cares? Like, genuinely, who cares? The same thing happened when Halle Bailey was cast as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. People were just absurdly racist towards Halle for no other reason. Both Halle and Rachel are insane vocalists, and they really do both look like animated Disney princesses. They both got those big doe brown eyes and like cherub faces. You can't say that they aren't good for the roles. They're actually kind of perfect. In a Variety Actors on Actors interview with Andrew Garfield, Rachel Zegler said the following.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced, it was a huge thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry. And so it was like,
those people.
Very much this, yes. It was this
people
awakening
that we need to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
Love them in the right direction.
A small side note here, in a later Actors on Actors interview, Variety actually paired up Rachel Zegler and Halle Bailey. It's one of my favorite Actors on Actors interviews. I love all of them, but the Halle and Rachel one is just so good, so I highly recommend you watch it if you have the time. And like I said all the way in the beginning of this video, Rachel has received backlash for being not Latina enough, but then in this instance with Snow White, she's too Latina for the role. The girl can't win. And again, it's not really my place to comment, but I feel like it's important to point out. The next Snow White related controversy originates from a Variety red carpet interview with Gal Gadot during the D23 Expo of September 2022. For context, the D23 Expo is like a huge fan club event where Disney will often debut new unreleased material for its fans, as well as exciting tributes and contests or whatever. It's a convention, basically, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's also no longer called the D23 Expo, I guess, but at the time that this interview took place, it was called that. So for the purpose of this video, I will call it the D23 Expo, although it's no longer known as that. Rachel and Gal were asked about the plot to their project, the new live action remake of Snow White, amongst other things. And I'm just going to play the clip for you now.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
People did not like what Rachel said here for multiple reasons. Some people just didn't like her tone and felt like it was sort of dismissive or even condescending. Other people didn't like that she made it seem like it was a bad thing to fall in love and that there is nothing weak about falling in love and that it's okay to have stories that showcase falling in love, etc., etc. My 2 cents here, Gal Gadot kind of is the one that started the conversation here, and Rachel just sort of yes ands it. Meaning, yes, Rachel says, it's not 1937 anymore, blah, 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 blah. But Gal Gadot is the one that sort of interrupts her or cuts her off and says,
and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
Rachel continues on, building off of what Gal Gadot says. But Gal did not nearly get as much hate for this as Rachel did. This sort of backlash continued throughout the press tour, as many people just did not vibe with Rachel and did not like the way she spoke about the original film, or the adaptation for that matter. People will cite these interviews calling her rude and ungrateful, and they will also use them to support their argument that she shouldn't even have been cast in the first place. For the record, Gal Gadot is technically the third horrible co-star that Rachel has had. I guess you could say 4 now that I'm thinking about it, if you count her alleged boyfriend. And that's like literally half of her filmography. And if you didn't know, Gal Gadot is an Israeli actress that has been extremely vocal on her pro-Israel stance in the media. She served in the Israeli occupying forces when she lived there in the early 2000s, which is something that is legally required of Israeli citizens once they turn 18, unless they belong to certain population groups that they can get out of their service. Gal even appeared in Maxim's Women of the Israel Defense Forces photo shoot, which is just such a disgusting concept. So gross. It's just propaganda in the purest sense of it. Gal Gadot was also Miss Israel in 2004, but then lost Miss Universe in 2004 as well. Just to be honest, she's not a very good actress.
And enough champagne to fill the night.
So there's that. Recently, a Variety article by Tatiana Siegel chronicled the fiasco that is Disney Snow White, citing Rachel Zegler as the cause. On the 12th of August 2024, Rachel tweeted, "Thanks for the support of the trailer drop for Snow White," and she added a sort of addendum to this tweet, responding to it with, quote, "and always remember free Palestine," end quote. Apparently, after Rachel tweeted this, the article claims Mark Platt flew out to ask Rachel to take it down. And if you didn't know, Mark Platt is a huge producer in both Hollywood and Broadway. He's produced a ton of Broadway shows. Currently on Broadway right now, he's producing or has produced Death Becomes Her, the new musical, and he also recently produced the Wicked movie, just to name 2. He is also Ben Platt's dad, and we have him to thank for the Dear Evan Hansen movie. The Variety article also claims that Rachel's relationship with the studio began to unravel in 2022 during the whole West Side Story Awards campaign season, and then continued to unravel even more as she, quote, trashed the original Snow White movie. But Rachel did stand her ground to Mark Platt, and the post still remains up on her Twitter to this day, or at least at the time of posting this video. I don't think she'll delete it, but still. Siegel also wrote that Disney paid for additional security for Gal Gadot as alleged death threats were being targeted towards her due to her pro-Israel stance in the media. An insider told Variety that she, Rachel, quote, didn't understand the repercussions of her actions as far as what that meant for the film, for Gal, for anyone, end quote. The article also cites another post by Rachel from November 2024, where she posted, "Fuck Donald Trump," and essentially, "May Trump supporters never know peace" on Instagram. Like, they're trying to make me hate her. When I was reading this article, like, at this point, I was kind of just like, okay, do you want me to like her? Like, I have said so much worse. I feel like it's pretty normal to say fuck Donald Trump. Am I wrong? The article says, quote, "Disney had had enough given that the star was signaling to half the potential audience of an already troubled film plagued by costly reshoots to stay home," end quote. Just pandering to Trump supporters, I guess. So then apparently Platt talked to Rachel again about her social media usage, and then they like went back and forth, and then they hired, I guess, a social media guru for her so they could like vet her posts before the film came out, which is so funny. For this article, Disney declined to comment, and Rachel Zegler did not respond to a request for comment, so she technically didn't deny it, but I guess if she wanted to respond, she didn't make the deadline for the article. I don't think Rachel needs to respond, though. I think she said what she needs to say, in my opinion. And like, this whole article by Siegel is really crazy because it really does feel like, as you're reading it, that they're placing all the blame on Rachel for the box office bombing of this movie. Go ahead and like read the article on your own and come back here, you know, form your own opinion about the whole thing. But my opinion is that the things that Rachel said weren't like super outlandish. They're things that I have said, and so when I'm reading this article and they're trying to frame it in a certain way, it makes me feel icky because I share those sentiments. And so I'm like, so if I said those things and I want to be an actress, which I do, I can't hold those opinions because it would hold back a studio from making money. Like, that's so disgusting. All Rachel did was advocate for the victims of a genocide and basically say fuck you to a fascist and his fascist supporters. I don't see what's wrong here. And I also think it's important to note that Tatiana Siegel also wrote multiple articles about Melissa Barrera after she spoke out against Israel, which Melissa pointed out herself on Instagram. There sort of seems to be a through line here with this specific journalist about taking down, in a way, these young up and coming actresses for their political opinions, which feels feels icky to me, but obviously I don't know this journalist personally, but it still feels icky in my heart, you know? After this article dropped, the internet blew up because frankly, it's insane all around. Jonah Platt, who is Mark Platt's other son, his less famous son, responded to comments on Instagram criticizing his dad. One user commented, quote, "Your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress. Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have a right to free speech, no? Shame on your father." End quote. This is Jonah Platt's response. I'm going to do a dramatic reading for you. Please enjoy. You really want to do this? Yeah. My dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. And quote. I believe that Platt has since deleted this comment, and it is a comment that is so completely out of touch with reality for multiple reasons. Had to leave his family. Jonah, you're 38. Ben is 31. Your dad is 67. I think you will be fine. I think his family will be fine. Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. All the reviews I've seen have said that Rachel is really only the good thing of this movie. Not to mention, there is this sort of fatigue with these live action remakes of old Disney IPs. Like, we've just had so many. We just had the Lion King remake. Like, we've had so many. Maybe people are just over it. Plus, Gal Gadot. Period. People are boycotting the film because people are boycotting Disney and they're boycotting Gal Gadot. There are multiple reasons, and they're not necessarily Rachel. And finally, the immature desires. You mean advocating for victims of genocide? Like, this comment is actually crazy when you break it down. Jonah is so out of touch, it's just sad. And the whole Platt lore goes even crazier when you remember that Rachel and Ben Platt have actually performed together a couple of times. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. Snow White is getting review bombed online, and it's sitting at a whopping 1.6 stars on IMDb at the time of me filming this. It's hard to tell exactly why this is happening because, like I said, there's a couple of factors going on here that don't necessarily have to do with Rachel Zegler. It's really a shame that Disney seems to be placing the blame on her, or at least this article is placing the blame on her. I think it's also important to note that after the October 7th attack, Disney donated $2 million to Magen David Odom, which is Israel's official representative to the International Red Cross Association. According to the MDA website, when you support MDA, you help ensure Israel has the resources today for the crisis it will face tomorrow and every emergency in between. It's clear where Disney stands, and the fact that they provided security detail for Gal Gadot and her alleged death threats, and not for Rachel, even though she was also receiving death threats for simply not being white, solidifies this stance even more. As always, there is a link in the description to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Please feel free to donate there if you are able to. Do what you can to support the people of Gaza during this time. A simple repost or share, or even a simple $5 can go a long way if you can give it, and it's the least that we can do. It really is. So you may be thinking, Mia, you're being really biased about this whole thing. And that's because I am biased. 1, free Palestine forever and always. 2, I don't think Rachel has done anything wrong. People think she's annoying. Sure. Whatever. She's literally just a theater kid. Sorry, so am I. I feel such a kinship for Rachel because I'm also a theater kid. I'm from Eastern PA. That's basically North Jersey. It's not, but for the sake of this argument, it is. We theater kids need to stick together. Your favorite celebrity is probably also a theater kid. Rachel just happens to be a little bit more vocal about it. I really do feel this kinship towards her, and I just don't like that people call her annoying because why? All of these controversies that we have talked about are stupid. So to answer the question, what did Rachel Zegler do? Exist, basically. All she did was speak her mind, be young, and be half Colombian, really. All of that being said, these were all the controversies that I could find that Rachel Zegler has has been allegedly a part of at some point. I really hope that nothing crazy happens between me writing this, filming this, and posting it. I really hope not. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more sort of celebrity deep dives like this, let me know. I'll be happy to do them. And I've been sort of doing like monthly polls for each video. So I did post a poll this month, but it was about romantasy books. And that was when I was originally going to do a different video for this month. But then I came up with this video and I felt like it was more timely to post it this month. So the romantasy video will be posted next month, probably. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.